Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Wednesday night live cruise chat for Canadians. My name is Linda, and I am the marketing person here at Vacations for Canadians, subbing in for Matt, who's away, and Tina, who's presenting tonight. So I'm taking over hosting duties, and I'll do my best to live up to the standards that they set. We have a really exciting presentation tonight. First, we have a spotlight with Tina. So she's going to go through the types of cruising. So if you've ever wondered what kind of cruise is best for me, or maybe you're interested in switching cruise lines or types of cruises, she's going to go through all of that with us tonight, and you're going to have a better sense of which type of cruiser you are. And after she's done, Rick is going to talk about Antarctica exploration cruises, which everybody is super excited about. I think that everybody on the panel tonight has said it's on their bucket list. So I'm sure it'll get added to yours after Rick's presentation. And then we're going to have a Q&A with our Vacations for Canadians team. So we have our amazing travel advisors here tonight, Rick, Tina, Luke, and Carrie also joining us. And you can ask us anything cruise related, and we will do our best to answer your questions. It doesn't have to be about the presentation, but it certainly can be. We'll also do a draw for some Vacations for Canadians swag at the end of the presentation. And all you have to do to get entered into that is drop your name and where you're from, or a comment or a question into the comments, and then we will do a draw at the end. And for those of you who are new to us, who are we? We are Vacations for Canadians. So we are a cruise specialist travel agency. We have 6 travel agents available to help you. They are all experts in cruising. They know the destinations, they know the cruise lines, and they're incredible. I would, even if I didn't work here, I would recommend them because they're amazing. So a lot of you, I'm sure, are coming from our Facebook group, which is Cruise Deals for Canadians, and that is where we post our amazing deals. So we really pride ourselves on being able to provide amazing pricing, exclusive offers, and on top of that, we have exceptional service and a great group of people. So that is it for introductions, and I think we are going to dive right in and start with Tina.
Linda, should we thank everybody for being here, given
Yes,
what day
course.
today is?
Well,
maybe we can drop our team spirit a little bit.
Well, I think we know who's wearing the right team jersey tonight.
All right. Okay, well, let's get started. The sooner we get through this, the sooner we can go watch the game. That's awful to say.
That's the spirit.
That's how it is. That's how it All right, so I'm here to talk about types of cruising. And there are many different categories that you can break cruising down into, but I've kind of broken it down into 3 very simplified categories. And you're going to see that even within these categories, it can be expanded out much further than this. But here we go. So the first one is the one that we traditionally all think of when we think of cruising, and that's ocean liner cruising. So ocean liner cruising is a vast category. Think anything from small luxury yachts like the Ritz-Carlton to, the Icon of the Seas, which is, 6,000 passengers. They're all under ocean cruising. They basically go to coastal cities or close to coastal cities, and then you have to get transportation into the main cities. They typically go all over the world, and most of them have a lot of different options for entertainment, excursions, dining. There's a pretty vast amount of things that you can do with ocean cruising, unless you get on the really, really small ships. But for the most part, ocean liners are, they're kind of like, they're good for everybody because there's just so many things for people to do on them and see from them. So that's the one that most people think about. Then we have our expedition. And I love this picture. So can you see that those they look like ants walking around the front of the ship? Those are people. So this is one of our expedition cruise lines that we work with, and they actually use an icebreaker to break into the ice. So typically when you think of expedition cruising, you think of places that not necessarily the ocean liners are going to go to, like the Antarctic. If you want to go to Antarctica and you take an ocean liner, you're basically doing a drive-by. If you want to really go to Antarctica, you do an expedition cruise. They tend to be smaller, more luxury ships, very destination immersive, and it's very adventure type. So you'll see with the excursions, a lot of them are physically, you need to be. It's what's the word I'm thinking of here? They're a little more demanding than your typical ocean liner excursions. And then the last type that we have is our river cruises. And everyone knows about river cruising, and everybody should have a river cruising on their bucket list. It's a completely different way to see the world. So you're basically going on a river. You could be in Southeast Asia, could be Australia, could be Egypt, I mean the Nile in Africa, could be, there's tons of rivers in Europe, and it could be the United States. There's actually a lot of rivers in the United States that have river cruising as well. And the ships tend to be really small. They tend to go anywhere from maybe 16 passengers to 200 passengers. And it's very intimate, and you dock right in the main cities. Because if you think about the main cities, like for those of you that have been to Amsterdam, if you think about going to Amsterdam, that river runs right through the city, not around the city, like you would be getting there by ocean liner around the city. River, you're right in the city. You basically walk off the ship and you are in the city. Yeah, so very usually more of a luxury type experience, a lot less people, and again, very destination immersive. Sorry about my language tonight. I'm having trouble talking. All right, let me go to the next slide here. So, okay, so I'm going to break down ocean cruising just a little bit further because it is such a vast category. So when we talk about contemporary ocean cruising, it can also be called mass market. It's typically the very well-known large cruise lines. So we're talking Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, and Princess. The ships are pretty large, and they are a one-stop shop for most people. Everyone loves them. There's something for everyone to do on them. Because they are so large, they can sort of accommodate everybody. So they're really good for like multi-generational trips and friend groups, and really a good experience. But there are lots of other options on top of contemporary. Then we get into premium, and that's for somebody who wants something just a little bit higher in an experience. So we're talking about Celebrity, Virgin Voyages, Disney, and Holland America. And what we have here is just a bit of a premium experience. So you're getting a smaller ship. Usually you're running around maybe 2,000 to 3,000 people rather than 4,000 to 6,000. And you find that there'll be just a higher level of standards on these ships. So just, maybe dining might be a little bit better. There might be a bit better of a crew ratio to guests. So a premium experience. Then we have our next category, which can be broken out actually even further, but we're just going to keep it as one category, and that's upper premium and luxury. And we really love this category because so many people are, doing contemporary and premium, and, not realizing that once they get into upper premium and luxury, like it's just a game changer. It's something you don't realize is just a next step. It really is just amazing experience. So a lot of these, like just for an example, Azamara, they can get into different ports than a large ship like the Icon of the Seas can get into. And I'm not putting, down contemporary cruising because it's fantastic and great for everybody. But if you really want to do some, really dive into a destination, these smaller upper premium luxury ships really can get you there. So they might do country intensive itineraries. They can get you into smaller ports that other ships couldn't get into because they're too big. They might stay later at night, so you can see more of, the destination. And you're getting just a really great experience. You're very well taken care of. I've been on most of those ships and most of those cruise lines, and I can honestly say I don't find them stuffy. I don't find them, like I do find people like-minded, and I do find that they're very casual for the most part, and I think that might be a bit of holding people back, not wanting to go on some of these luxury cruise lines, worried that they're going to be stuffy people and not enjoy themselves. But I didn't find that at all in any of my experiences. And then we get into ultra luxury, and these are for people who really enjoy the finer things in life. A lot of these cruise lines do include excursions or more things that may be typically not included with some of the other cruise lines. For example, we've got Silversea, and they've got a door-to-door service. So they will actually have your luggage picked up from your house, and it will be at the ship when you get there. So, and everything in between is taken care of. It's just, so if you love that, you want somebody to take care of everything, that's a really great option for you. Silversea Regent, they include the shore excursions, Scenic, Emerald Explorer, all small ship, yacht style experience. Just, if you're on YouTube, go and check out those ships. They are absolutely beautiful. Paul Gauguin, known for doing the French Polynesia. They're one of the best. They're there all year round. That's all they do. They know it. And one of the only ships really still going to Bora Bora, because a few years ago, Bora Bora said no more to the big ships. So if you want to go to Bora Bora, you need to do it on like a Paul Gauguin, a Ponant, an Oceania, a Windstar, something much smaller than you would get on a contemporary or premium cruise line. Okay, I'm going to jump to the next slide, and we're going to dive into a bit more about ocean cruising. So what do we have on ocean cruising? And I'm being very generic because, like I said, ocean cruising is such a vast category. But typically you have more dining options on ocean cruising than you would with expedition or river. So you almost always have a main dining room. I don't think I've ever seen a ship that didn't have a main dining room. Usually there's options for specialty dining, buffet, casual dining. That's usually like a pizza joint somewhere like Princess or Virgin. They've got their pizza joints, or ice cream. And then you've got your room service. So lots of options for dining on these ocean cruise liners. Entertainment is usually quite vast on ocean cruising. You've got theater style shows. Some of the bigger ships even have Broadway style shows, lots of live music, singing and dancing. It's kind of what we do on cruise ships. Comedians, piano bars, just so many options. If you really love the amount of options, then again, you should be looking at something like the contemporary cruise lines. They have, just an amazing amount of options every night that you can, just sort of wander in and out of. And then talk about things to do. And typically there is a lot to do on ocean cruise liners. And that's very typical because there's usually sea days, and you need to keep people busy on sea days because there's only so many times you can go to the pool, or, so you want stuff to do. So there's typically pools, casinos. Then we've got kids clubs, fitness centers, spas. We've got daily activities. So, most of you that have done cruising before know that you get the cruise planner in your room every day or on your app, and they will have a list of all the things that you can do. And that would be like bingo and trivia and, lots of fun things like that. There may even be some lectures, but lots of things, lots of options. And even some people don't even get off at every port. So, there's usually things even to do while you're in port as well. And like I mentioned earlier, typically ocean cruising goes everywhere in the world. Okay, next slide. All right, let's get a little bit into expedition cruising, and I'm not going to get into it too much because I know we're all waiting on Rick's presentation. Expedition cruising. Who is expedition cruising? So the ones that we typically recommend are Atlas, HX, Seabourn, Uncruise, Silversea, Celebrity Flora, and Viking. Now, most of these cruise lines also have regular ocean cruising as well. So you kind of have to check into it. So Silversea, they also have ocean cruising, which is luxury, and then they also have expedition cruises. So that's something that we can definitely help you out with in finding what the right fit for you is. But I've put a picture here of the Celebrity Flora. I've been on her. She was absolutely beautiful, stunning ship. And they have where you walk right off the back of the ship. They pull the Zodiac up, and you actually walk right into the Zodiac, and that's how you get to everywhere you're going. For the Celebrity Flora example, for example, she doesn't have any ability to port, so you actually Zodiac everywhere you go. Even when you originally get there, you Zodiac from land to the ship. So you take your luggage, or the staff actually take your luggage, because it really is a luxury experience. The staff take your luggage on a Zodiac and get it over to the ship for you. And basically that's the entire way of getting around the whole time you're there. So a little bit more about expedition cruising. So there will be less options as far as dining, because they tend to be smaller ships. And for the most part, these are all luxury cruise lines. There is a price tag that goes along with it, but it's such an amazing experience. If you really, really want to dive into seeing something, this is definitely the way to go. So, but the experience will be representative of what you pay, in my opinion, anyways. So you've got fine dining, which is typically your main dining. There's special events. They often will host like culturally immersive meals. So say if you're in a certain country, they might, have a meal based on that country, and it'll be maybe on the top deck or something. So I think because they're a smaller ship, they can get away with doing a lot more fun, creative things like that. And a lot of local cuisine. So, you'll find maybe the chefs will go off the ship during the day and pick up some of the food. They might be looking for some fresh fish or whatever, and then they'll bring it back on and they'll cook that up for you. Excursions. So the excursions are different than what you would expect in ocean cruising. I mean, obviously there will be a bit of overlap, but for the most part, it's very adventure based. There's typically a lot of kayaking, hiking, snorkeling. It's very adventure based, like I said. A lot usually to do with wildlife. I went to the Galapagos on Celebrity Flora, and it was basically like you were on a wildlife expedition every day. So which is just amazing, because naturalists are showing you what you should be looking for and teaching you. And it's just a great way to see the wildlife. And most of these expedition ships are using Zodiacs. So that's how you're getting around. And that's why I've included a picture, just to show you these Zodiacs. For entertainment, typically there isn't a ton of entertainment. There might be some performances, some singing and dancing. But a lot of it is cultural and learning. So enrichment programs. So you might be, they might have a speaker or a naturalist talk about a certain type of wildlife that you're going to be seeing. You might get a lecture on where you're going so that you can learn more about the area. But it's very destination focused. And the destinations that typically are for expedition cruising are Galapagos, Antarctica, Alaska, and Norway. There are others, but those I would say are the top 4. All right, let's get into river. Okay, so everybody knows about river cruising, and everybody knows it should be on their bucket list. And I've done 3 rivers. I can say that, I've been on the Mekong, I've been on the Rhine, and I've also been on the Mississippi. So I've kind of done like a little bit of everything. I've been in Asia, America, and Europe on a river cruise. What an experience. It is, just from the second that you step on the ship, it's such just a luxury, comfortable experience. What I love about these ships is that they're so small. Typically, like I said, 16 to 200 people. There's typically one main dining room. Actually, let me just point out, before I get too far into this, because I'm talking about the next slide now, let me just point out this picture and just show you what you're looking at here. So this is a river cruise stateroom, and typically they have like a full row of windows if you're on the second level. I mean, if you're on the bottom level, you might not have this, but if you get a balcony or a main level room, you can see right out that window. And I just wanted to show you like how close the water and how close the land is. And that's very typical for river cruising. You generally have that view your entire cruise, which is amazing. Okay, so let me just talk about dining. So usually there's a main dining. Sometimes there's dining upstairs on the top deck. A lot of themed dinners, again, very similar to expedition cruising. You're very destination focused. There's usually a chef's table, and the wine is always flowing on river cruises. I don't know why, but it's just the thing to do when you're on a river cruise, is drink a lot of wine. I guess maybe because they sail through a lot of wine regions, but and then we talk about excursions, and you can see that family or the two couples, I think, sitting there, and you could just see the river in the background, and it looks like they're probably doing a wine tasting. And I just thought that was the perfect excursion, because that's exactly what it's like. You do a lot of, you might go to wineries, or you might go to lavender fields, or you might go to a UNESCO heritage site. There's always bikes on these ships, so if you want to do a bike ride or hiking, the markets, if you want to do the Christmas markets, amazing. And then there's always guided city tours as well. So, and most of the time, river cruising includes excursions. Not all the time. That is definitely something that you have to check with our agents on. And the entertainment, there's not going to be as much, obviously, much smaller ship, and everybody's doing the same entertainment. There's typically just one lounge on the ship, which to me, I always just call it the living room, because it feels like the living room. Really, you eat your dinner and then everyone heads over to the living room. It's just a bunch of couches, and the beauty thing about river cruising is they can bring people on and off the ship really easy. So like, you might, finish your dinner, and then next thing you know, the ship is pulling over to pick up a couple musicians. They pop on, they're playing in the next 30 minutes. And then 3 hours later, when they're done, the ship pulls over again and drops them off somewhere. So it's really very destination immersive for entertainment. They're bringing people on and off the ship steady, because it's just so easy for them to pull over in these ports and pick up and drop off people. Cooking is a big thing on these ships. So, you can sometimes get cooking lessons or demonstrations, wine tasting. There's cultural lectures, very similar to Expedition. And like I said, live music, not singing and dancing. I don't know that there's any dancing going on, except for those of us that had a few too many wines. Maybe we'll get up on the dance floor, but yeah. And the destinations, like I mentioned, there's a lot of rivers in Europe. There's the Nile in Africa. We've got the Mekong in Asia. We've got tons of rivers in America. And South America and Australia have some rivers as well that you can do river cruising. So, yeah. Okay, well, that's my presentation. So I'm here till the end. So if you guys have any questions about that, but that is a very general overview of the types of cruising that we offer. All right. Rick, or Linda, do you want to take over?
Sure, I can take over. I can do a proper introduction. So Rick is one of our travel advisors here at Vacations for Canadians, and Rick does specialize in luxury, expedition, and river cruising, along with a few of our other agents. So he is well versed in these type of cruises, and I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to let him take over and tell us about Antarctica.
I can. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Tina. I can certainly vouch for the river cruises. I was just on one last month, and we had a great time. You get to know everybody on the ship. There was 166 people, and we knew them all by the end. And we had a great time. It was fun. Everything Tina said was good. It was right. So here we're going to talk about Antarctic, and we're going to talk about expedition cruising. And just have a quick look at this picture right here. I mean, the ship comes right into the ice. You walk off, and then what kind of you can't have any other experience on that. The people are just walking around on the Antarctic. Sorry. What is expedition cruising? Expedition cruising takes you to places you just dreamt about. It's not your traditional, I'm going to go see this building or that church or that tour. You're going to go see remote places that a lot of people don't get to see. They're hard to get to. And it's for the people who really are curious and want to learn and explore. I've had some clients who say, I want to be able to say I touched every continent. And this is the only way to do it. They're typically the smaller ships. In fact, you'll see on the next slide, they're only allowed maximum 500 passengers on these ships to the Antarctic. They're not allowed to have any more than that. The ships are designed for the ice and for the environment that they'll be in. So it's not just your regular ocean cruise. It's a lot smaller version, and it's designed for it. So maximum 500 passengers, like I said, designed for the polar conditions. They have specialized equipment, the Zodiacs, the kayaks, and the the accommodations are high luxury on all of these. These are typical suppliers, partners that we use for Antarctic cruises: Scenic, Atlas, Viking, HX, Silver Sea, and Seabourn, among others. So expedition cruising, you have to have a natural curiosity. You want to explore. You want to get out there and touch it and feel it and do it, not just read about it. It's really, I say it clearly there, adventure experience of a lifetime. You're going to go home and you're going to say, wow. You're going to show people their 10,000 pictures that you took. The animals and the landscapes, it's something else. A lot of pictures are conveying the story here. That's what I'm trying to convey. The penguins, you'll see them. Imagine being able to hold a chunk of ice from the Antarctic and take that picture, and you'll have that in your wallet or whatever, in your phone, and carry that for years. I think we're going to show that video now, Linda. Okay, we can go back. Yeah. So I have, like, all my pictures are from all the suppliers, our partners, and we're allowed to use their assets, of course. And that one was from the Silver Seas. It's just typical of what you can experience on a Antarctic expedition cruise. When is the right time to go? Well, the season is basically from October to March, and depending on what you want to see, what you want to experience, there's a best time for each of these. You want to see the penguins, the ideal time would be January, February. Don't ask me why, but you'll be able to see them throughout the whole season. Whale watching peak would be in February. So if you want warm weather, not sure why you want to go to the Antarctic for warm weather, but that's the warmer weather version of Antarctic. So anyway, when you want to discuss about the expedition cruise to Antarctic, let me know. We'll discuss it, and we can pick the right cruise and right timing for you. Here's a typical itinerary. You make your way down to Buenos Aires, Argentina, and then they take over from there. They'll fly you to Ushuaia, and where you'll meet the cruise, and you'll sail. And then you're in the hands of the captain. The captain decides where he's going to go, depending on weather, depending on the ice conditions, depending on what he knows, or he or she knows, is appealing things that the clients want to see. They have the experience. They're there every week, and they know where to go. And then you will go back to Ushuaia, and then they fly you back to Buenos Aires. And then you can also do pre and post extensions available. Like, for example, I have some clients who are going to Iguazu Falls after their cruise. And that's all part of the package that we can develop for you. So what's included in it? So I took a sample from Atlas. They're one of the top luxury expedition cruise partners we have. And this is what's included. You have all the food, all the beverages, the coffees, the gratuities, walking sticks if you need them, butler service. And then on the polar expeditions, like the ones we're talking about, they'll fly you, like I said, from Buenos Aires to Ushuaia. The lectures, the Zodiacs are included, the polar plunge if you want to jump in the water. And then at Parka, you see some of the pictures had yellow parkas or red parkas, whatever company you're sailing with. Those are yours to keep. And there's also a pre-cruise hotel included after you arrived in Buenos Aires. And that's it in a nutshell for Antarctic expedition.
Well, thank you, Rick. I'm feeling very bucket listy tonight. I feel like That video alone with the penguins and the whales, and I can't even imagine what a life-changing and once-in-a-lifetime experience that would be for sure. Um, So we have moved on to our Q&A. If you do have questions, please drop them into the comments and we will answer them. They don't have to be about the presentations tonight. Anything cruise related, we're happy to answer. And we are going to start with Steve's question. Steve asks, has anyone been on the Sapphire Princess to the Antarctica, South America? If so, would you recommend this option versus the more expensive Expedition Cruises if budget is a consideration? Thanks, Steve from Burlington.
I'll take that one. So if the key factor is the budget, there's going to be a difference between the other cruise lines, the ocean cruise lines, and the expeditions for sure. Tina touched upon it. The expedition ones are going to be more expensive, and the Sapphire Princess, like some of the others, they'll do a drive-by. You won't be able to walk on the ice. You won't be able to touch the land. You won't be able to get close to the penguins. Not to say it's a bad experience, but it's not as intensive as the expedition cruise would be. I guess that's Tina, anything to add to that?
I would just say, like, I've had lots of clients that have done the drive-by and they've enjoyed it. So I don't think it's horrible. I think if that's, if budget is the main consideration, then I would say still do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So the next question, it's kind of a comment, but I thought we could answer if this is true or false. So Doug said, I always thought Princess was Carnival's premium cruise line.
Yeah, so I'll take this one on just because there is definitely a fine line between premium and contemporary cruise lines. And yes, Carnival owns Carnival, Princess, and Holland America. So where do those three cruise lines fit into those two buckets? Definitely Carnival would be put down into the mass market area. And I would say for sure Holland America would be premium. Where does Princess fall? It falls somewhere in between. Really, there's no right or wrong answer as to where Princess falls. Personally, my gut with Princess's new ships being bigger, so we're talking 4,000 people, sort of kind of going in the direction more of the contemporary. They are going after families, multi-gen, bigger ships. So to me, Princess is definitely going in the direction more of the contemporary cruise line. But who's to say? If you find it's a premium experience, then it's a premium experience.
And I can just add to that. When I was on the Sun Princess, and I found that one very comparable to a Celebrity experience, Celebrity Edge series. But there's definitely a differentiation between the newer ships of Princess and their older ones. So just to say.
Great. Our next question comes from Valerie, and she asks, is there a limit of how many people can set foot on land and or ice at a time?
There is a limit. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but there is a limit, and they control it. So you have your time slots to go off on those Zodiacs to get to the land portion. So you go and come. There's also expeditions that you can do, excursions you can do. Some of the cruise lines would even have like an overnight sleeping in a tent on the Antarctic. If you can imagine that.
Can't imagine that. Okay, and our next question comes from Linda. She says, if I could only do one river cruise in my life, what would be your option as to the one not to ever miss?
Wow. Well, I think Rick should answer this as well. But for me, the two main ones that they always say are Rhine and Danube. So they're both in Europe. It's basically what part of Europe do you want to do? Danube is beautiful with you can do Prague extension and Budapest and Hungary. Whereas the Rhine is going to typically start off or end in Switzerland and or Holland. So it's basically which one sort of intrigues you a little more. But I would say definitely one of those two rivers.
those two are the most popular by far. Most of the ships and most of the demand is for there. I would maybe just add in the Douro in Portugal. It's the high demand, and when you're in the season, the wine season, September, October, it's phenomenal. So that's like, that question is like an impossible question to answer. So we just gave you the best stab at it.
Fantastic. All right, next question. Valerie asks, "What is the typical time frame for an Antarctic cruise?"
Is you're talking about the duration? I mean, well, duration is typically the week. It's in a week, 7-10 days time frame, depending where you start from. I mean, the itinerary I showed was a sample one, but there are other itineraries. In terms of the timing of the year, I think I had a slide here. Yeah, so that would be the best time of the year, depending what you want to see. And again, 7 to 10 days is the cruise.
Fantastic. And I just want to share, because we're finished with questions, but I do want to share with everybody, because I went to a presentation from HX on Antarctica, and I just want to share this video because I feel like this one really gives you such a sense.
This is the closest I'm going to get to experiencing being on a different planet.
It just feels to me like a film set. The scale is absolutely incredible.
Antarctica is so far away, and penguins and icebergs, these are things that most people don't get a chance to experience.
Amazing glaciers, mountains, and I'm just surrounded by it.
The richness of this place when you're here and you see it, I don't think you can actually describe it.
I was expecting a vast emptiness. You begin to realize that it's teeming with life.
There's abundant life down here.
I can see humpback whales right out my window.
Seeing them move, the sound that they make.
Seeing the tails. When they breach, to see that magnificence in person.
I was not expecting just the richness of the days.
Different wildlife, different geology.
There's been so much happening on each day.
More whales, some trapped icebergs, the volcano.
Getting in and out of boats, climbing mountains.
Camping in Antarctica, just mind-blowing.
It's been one of the most jam-packed trips I've been on.
It's been a very visceral trip.
All the senses being.
So I'll stop it there, but I feel like that really gives you a sense of what an expedition cruise can be. I'm sure there are different levels of that, depending on where you go, but I wanted to share that. And we have another question in. Whoops. The question is from Valerie. Are there major differences between the cruise lines that you have mentioned for Antarctic cruises?
I would stick with the leaders like the HX, Atlas, the Seabourn. These are some of your top leaders of the Antarctic expedition cruises. Differences, they're all pretty close in terms of their offering. There's little differences here and there, but I would say you'll be well positioned with any of those.
Fantastic. And Steve asks, what expedition cruise line offers the best value for an Antarctica cruise?
Best value in terms of price or in terms of experience? I think the experience will be comparable. Price depends on when you go, where you go, how full the ship is when you're booking it, what promotions are going on. So you always have to be keeping an eye on that. And that's what we do for you, actually. So yeah, and these cruise lines, the expedition cruise lines, like the others, they have their promotions that come and go. They all want people to go on their ships. So Tina, any other thoughts on that? Or?
Not really. I think it is pretty much the same experience across the board, regardless of who you go on. It's probably more of a service and ship. So obviously the brand new ships are going to be a little bit more expensive, or the newer cruise lines. But as far as value, there might be some that are a bit cheaper than others. But again, it depends on what promotions are being run. So you really want to reach out to Rick, and he can do that. He can look into that for you.
Yeah. And I just want to say, we talked a lot about Antarctica tonight because that was the focus. But Expedition Cruises covers a lot of areas, like Tina portrayed. There's the Amazon. There's Norway. There's Greenland. There's Iceland. There's across the Northwest Passage over top of Canada. There's a whole list of them, including the Galapagos. So Expedition Cruises is not just Antarctica, and we'll probably talk about that in a future webinar. So stay tuned.
Amazing. And I will share my screen again. And I'm just going to show you that if you are looking to, sorry, I'm trying to talk and do something else, and clearly I'm not good at that. So if you are looking for cruise deals specific to expedition cruising or luxury or any other kind, when you go on to our website under deals, you can actually filter. So you can filter by expedition, you can filter by river, luxury, upper premium. And as you can see, there's an example of an Antarctica cruise right now that's available, as well as other ones, the Amazon, Ultimate Norway, Galapagos. So lots of options there, but it's an easy and quick way for you to quickly look for an expedition cruise on our website. And if you don't see what you like, then definitely contact our agents because they can help you out. So it's giveaway time.
Well, one second. I think we forgot.
Oh.
When you talk about Galapagos, don't forget Carrie was just there, so she has a lot of experience at it if you want. And Matt was there as well. So.
And Tina.
Yeah, we've all been.
It's amazing.
So put that on your bucket list too. So we've got Galapagos, we've got Antarctica, we've got river cruises. We got a lot of buckets to fill here tonight.
That's what we're here for.
We are bucket fillers. So we're going to do a giveaway tonight, and we're going to give away a passport holder that you can take on your bucket list trip. And I will pull up the giveaway. And if it comes up with any of our agents or Vacations for Canadians, as it does sometimes, then we will redraw. But here's hoping to pick somebody who's on the call tonight first. Hey, Kim, congratulations. Excuse me. I'm going to put my email into the chat, and you can just email me, and we will make sure that your prize gets sent out to you. Trying to multitask here. Oops.
Oh,
all right.
She's actually giving you her email.
Oh, thanks, Kim. I will take my note then. I was just about to add it. All right. So if any of this inspired you to want to travel, as I showed you, you can pop under our website. Anything that is in our Cruise Deals for Canadians Facebook does end up over there on our website as well. It's easy to filter by date, by type of cruise, by cruise line, year, all those sorts of things. If you don't see what you want, we can't get all of our deals up on the website. We have tons of deals that come through every single day. We do our best to sort of cherry pick some that we think people will be interested in and get as many up as we can, but we have lots. So if you don't see what you're looking for, please reach reach out to any of our agents, and they're very happy to help you, and that's what they like to do. So don't ever feel that that even if you're not quite ready to book, you're just looking for some information, that you should wait, because they will be happy to help you and get you set up. And when you're ready to get to the next step and book your cruise, they'll be there for you for that too. So you can reach us at sales@vacationsforcanadians.com. On our website, you'll also see where you can reach all of our agents and a little bio about them. And then you can reach us by phone as well. And I believe that wraps up our cruise chat. We are back next week. Please join us again and tell your friends. And I think we have more agents back. A lot of people are cruising. Karen and Matt are both cruising right now. And
Jason's cruising
Jason
too.
Jason left today. Yeah, he got out to through Florida. And so we should have everybody, I think everybody's back next week or shortly thereafter. So we'll have the crew back next Wednesday. Please join us and have a lovely evening, and go Habs. Woo!
You know what? We have to go and cheer now, because actually Montreal is up 1-0. So go Toronto. Although I don't have any expectations. I understand how it works.
Have a great night, all. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.